go with that angle and we'll hope for the best. Alright, so off to the gym, shut the garage, we're away. The cool thing is it's getting a lot lighter. It's getting a lot lighter in the mornings, so I can actually see quite a bit more, which is nice. It's not that great driving in the dark every morning. So, user feedback. So what are the do's and don'ts of user feedback? So I've been building Navexa now for some point this year, and I'll have to check the GitHub history, but some point this year will mark 7 years since I wrote the first line of code, which is kind of crazy saying that out loud because it doesn't feel like it's that long. When I first started Navexa, I didn't have any kids. I lived with my stepbrother, I think. So far away. So long ago is what I meant to say. Wake up. I didn't have any kids. Just had a girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. So I had heaps of spare time, and I was coding Navexa in my after hours after work, and then kind of full time on the weekends. And I was doing that for quite a while because I really wanted to get everything set up. And of course, in the beginning, it was just my own feedback. I was my first customer, which I still think is a really good idea when building a product, is that you're going to use it. So if you're not going to use it, it's kind of hard to justify why you know what the product should do. And so I was the first customer, so it was my feedback going into the product, and I built it in a certain way, having no idea of the use cases of other investors. So I just had basic, like, I bought some shares and held them, one trade, or I bought some shares and sold them, just 2 trades. And it wasn't until the first time I put a post on Reddit, and I put it in like Oz Finance, I think it was, and it was just like, hey, I built a portfolio tracker, I'd love to get some feedback, blah blah blah, completely free product. And anyway, within like minutes, it was getting torn apart. Like, people on Reddit, I remember the first comment, and it was like, they currently use my main competitor, and they're like, your product doesn't even handle corporate actions. And I remember at the time, and this may sound stupid, but I was like, what's a corporate action? And so I had to Google corporate actions, and I'm like, splits and consolidations. And I'm like, I've never owned a stock that had splits or consolidations, So I quickly realized that, that is a massive hole in the product. And that was the danger of just having my own feedback as the user feedback, because I've never had that scenario yet. Splits and consolidations are huge. Like, people who own Apple shares will know, people who own Tesla shares will know. So many Australian stocks have had splits and consolidations, so they'll know. And if the product can't track that, then it's pretty much useless. So it was in that moment when I kind of realized that, hey, this user feedback thing is kind of really important. So there was some obvious pieces of feedback like that which I knew I had to build, but then over the years I've had, annoyingly, other scenarios. I remember way back in the early days we had a potential B2B client, and this was like a big deal because we're like, oh wow, we never even thought of coding stuff for B2B. And this person came along and promise the world that, we've got this many clients, so we'll pay you this pretty awesome sum of money, but you just need to build this feature. And that feature was actually a primitive version of our interactive brokers integration. And so I remember we had another dev at the time, Nick, who was working on that, and he spent days, weeks working on the interactive brokers integration. And then we build it, we spend all this time, no money up front, and they get it and they're like, oh yeah, this thing doesn't look quite right. And we're like, okay, well, can you help us sort it? And they kind of just avoided helping us fix the problem. And we're like, we need help, and then we'd fix that problem, and then come time to be like, all right, now you got to pay. They were like, they just ghosted us. And that was kind of our first taste of what it's like to listen to user feedback on a big scale. So we'll get into the gym, I'll come back out, and I'll tell you some more good stuff about user feedback. Let's do it. All right. Okay. Another session down. Went pretty well. My eating wasn't super great yesterday, but wasn't far off. So it didn't seem to affect performance, which is really good. So you know me, I don't like things affecting performance, in a negative way at least. Oh, sorry, horse. Alright, so where was I? So we're talking about user feedback. So, yeah, that was a case of me getting shafted by user feedback. Whereas these days, it kind of evolved. I'll go back a little bit. So from there, it kind of evolved to monitoring support tickets and seeing what people were requesting. Now we get a lot of feature requests, and some people request, all manner of things. And a lot of the requests are things that just wouldn't help that many people, It's like it'd help this one person with their strange niche investing strategy. And the other ones you got to be careful of, because I always go on about high leverage activities. Those are a big time sink. Spending a week working on someone's feature, and then they use it, and worst case they don't even use it, because people are notorious for thinking they know what they want, and they're like, yeah, build this thing, and then they get it and they're like, no, I'll just keep doing the old way of doing things. And it's just ridiculous. So I've got to stop and get fuel, because we've run out. Does this have what I need? Unleaded 91. The good stuff. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, fueled up, ready to go. Fuel at the moment, $1.89 per litre. I'm going to chuck that little fact in this video so that one day when I see it back in 10 years, I can go, damn, fuel was cheap. Back in my day, fuel was $1.89. And I'll have the proof. Anyway, back on track. So that's where it got to, and now it's evolved to using a full-on kind of product feedback platform. So the way it works now is users can leave feedback requests that everyone can see, so they're public. So beforehand it was a feedback request would come to me, only I would see it. And so I then had to keep a mental note of, I've seen this one before. How many times? I feel like I've seen it a bunch of times. So it'll be a good feature to build. But then, of course, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I only saw it twice and only 2 people ever wanted it. So now people can put a public feedback request and other people can upvote and downvote on it. Now that sounds great, but it only really works, I feel, when you get to a particular level of scale or a particular level of engagement with the community. Because of course, if you have this set up and no one's really engaged, you might get a feature request, but no one's going there to upvote or downvote. So it's still just the same as fielding like a one-on-one support ticket. So fortunately, Navixa now has a lot of engaged, loyal fans of the product, which is awesome. And so we get a lot of upvotes on things. And then the next trick is you got to keep that momentum going. So what I've found is, and this actually happened, is there was a lot of buzz around this new feedback product we set up. And we had people in there all the time upvoting and commenting on things, and people like fleshing out the requirements in the comments, which was awesome. But then we got kind of bogged down in some other activities, some other development tasks and things, and we couldn't implement some of the highly requested features for a couple of months. And because of that lack of delivering on the specific user feedback, the activity around that kind of died. Not died, but dropped off significantly. So people stopped checking back, and putting myself into customer shoes, I'm like, they're not like building the things we're requesting anyway. So recently, once all those other activities were kind of squared away, came back, started building the things like some of the most highly requested features. And that is slowly restoring that kind of hive of activity around the feedback website, which is really good. So that's what I guess my takeaway from that is, if you're going to set that up, like, you got to deliver on it, or it's just kind of a waste of everyone's time. These products cost money too, so it's a waste of your own time setting it up if you're not going to deliver on it. But I think it's one of the best ways. So now when I field a support ticket and it's a feature request, I just refer the customer, go chuck it on here, because if you put it there and it gets a heap of attention from other people, then I know, fantastic, all these people want it. I've even asked questions in the comments like this feature sounds good, but how would this scenario work? And then people are chiming in like, to do this and it would do this. I'm like, that's a good idea. And it's really the key, because like I can put all these features in that I think are good. God damn that sun. I can put all these features that I think are good, but then no one else agrees. I might be that person I talked about earlier, the one person who wanted the thing. And you can't expect, I think founders I have initially fell into the thing, if I need it, like other people will too. Just 100% not the case. That's why there's so many failed startups, or one of the reasons. So, yeah, the key point is, it's really key to start getting that user feedback, but in the right way for your situation. If you're really early stage, I still think one-on-one support tickets is probably still the best way to go. And then as you get that base of customers and level of engagement, you can move to a more public forum without it looking dead, because that kind of damages your reputation, I think. So, about to get home, cleared away a lot of support tickets yesterday. So working on some awesome videos today around the product, especially around tax time, which is coming up. Even a lot of our existing customers have heaps of questions about tax strategies and can you switch strategies in financial years and things. So I'm trying to put together an awesome guide on all the things that you'd want to know, so that you can then go do your tax effectively and save a lot of money. So on that note, as per usual, high leverage activities, get after it.